Good morning, book lovers. Welcome to today's vlog. I literally just woke up. Welcome to today's vlog. Today is a solo date after I meet with a friend for coffee this morning. So I just wanted to take you guys along with me and share my day. So what we got planned? We got coffee in the morning with my new friend who I met at a silent book club, and she hit me up and was like, "Hey, you want to go for that coffee you were talking about?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, let's go." So here I am. And then I'm gonna go get a massage for the first time since August of last year. Ooh, it's needed because my stress is stored everywhere in my body. It needs to be released. And then I was going to do right after that, go to like a local park and read and finish, hopefully either finish Black Cherokee or start reading more of East of Eden, which I began reading because everyone was talking about it, and I have FOMO and I'm a curious person. And so I bought the book from Half Price Books, and now I'm reading it, and it's very interesting so far. I was going to go to a park and read that, which I still might do, but there is a market in solidarity with Lebanon and Palestine that is being hosted in a town in the town over from where I'm going to be. So I'm probably going to go to that. It's a lot of vendors to support as well as organizations. So I'm probably going to check that out first, and then maybe I'll go read. So yeah, let's start the day. So unfortunately, my friend had to cancel because she has to take her dog to the vet. Oh my god, there's an earwig in my car. I know they're harmless, like their pinchers are like fake, like they're not actually gonna like pinch you or anything or bite you, but like they still freak me out. Anyway, my friend had to cancel because she had to take her dog to the vet, unfortunately. So it's just me here at the coffee shop. So I'm probably going to just go in and do some journaling, maybe some reading before I head out to my massage. So let's go. Was much needed. That was a much needed massage. Oh my god, I feel so good. I can't even think. I'm too relaxed. Okay. Wow, yeah, I'm so tired, like in the best way possible. If you've never gotten a massage before and you have the ability to, I highly recommend doing that. It's a great body reset, and it just like, you know, softens your muscles, releases all the toxins that have been built up into your muscles, you know, lymphatic drainage, all that stuff. Also, if you haven't gotten a massage before, and in case no one tells you before you go, make sure that you drink plenty of water. Sorry, you guys fell there. Like I was saying, make sure you drink plenty of water, eat something, drink water before and after. eat something, and yeah, just be prepared to just be super relaxed afterwards. So now I'm gonna go and get something to eat, and then I'm gonna go ahead to the solidarity / market event, and then we'll figure out what to do from there. All right, let's go. Never take this off. Okay, so I'm reading East of Eden by, what's his name? Steinbeck. And for several reasons. Because people on Instagram started to read it. Okay, it was getting big. And I was like, what the heck? What's going on? But I guess there's a new series that's coming out. A new series that's coming out on Netflix. And everyone's just like revisiting the source material. Okay, so I was like, okay, fine. I'll cave. Got this from half-priced books. Now, I know very little about the story. I know very little about the author. Although when I looked it up, I guess he wrote Of Mice and Men, which was like required reading for a lot of people in high school. So I remember that. And so far the book is interesting. Some things that I picked up on is I enjoyed the writing in the beginning, talking about like the Salinas Valley in California, which is where this takes place. I like the way that he describes the land. There's a lot of dichotomous descriptions, like winter or like wet season versus dry season, and like describing how those both are in the Salinas Valley, east and west. And I say this because I did a little research on the book, and I guess one of the themes that is talked about is like good and one of the themes that are explored is like good and evil. And I guess there are also a lot of biblical references within this, specifically like the story of Cain and Abel. I'm not familiar with, but I may read up on just so I can have a better understanding of what's happening in the book. So that's what I picked up on so far. Some other things that I noticed is how he talks about women versus men. And the first woman that we are introduced to is his great-grandmother or grandmother. And he describes her as just like this killjoy, no fun, doesn't laugh, like just not cool to be around. And the next woman he introduces is talking about Adam Task's mother and how his mother struggled with what we know is mental illness, right? Depression, probably postpartum, because her husband, Adam's dad, went to war right after she had Adam, and she was by herself. So yeah, she was struggling with postpartum depression, and she took her own life. But the way he describes it is like she's searching for like this she is subscribed to like this false god, and he uses God, lowercase g God,
and just puts a lot of blame on her, and it's her responsibility to fix herself, essentially. And when I say he, I mean the narrator is a Hamilton. Like, I think he's one of the descendants of the Hamiltons, but as the writer Steinbeck, I'm just noticing how he's describing certain people, times, places, things like that. The third woman we're introduced to is Alice, who is Adam's stepmom, and his dad Cyrus married him when she was 17. So that's weird. Also, this takes place in like 1862 is when Adam was born. So this is like in the Civil War time, just keeping that in mind. Like I was saying, the third woman he introduced, she's very like meek, tame, like the perfect woman, because she doesn't say anything, she doesn't complain, she just does what she's told, the housework, watches the kids, things like that. So a very, I guess, desirable person who subscribes to patriarchal ideals. The other two things that I noticed that made me uncomfortable is how Steinbeck, when he's talking about the land, the Salinas Valley, he talks about how like the indigenous people, but he doesn't use indigenous, but he talks about how the indigenous people, when they were on the land, they were just like incompetent and like they didn't take care of it and all that stuff. And I thought that was pretty disingenuous and pretty shitty. I don't know if that is supposed to be intentional, like I don't know. Didn't like it. And then he talks about how like the Spaniards came over and settled, and then also the Americans. And then, like I said, because when we are introduced to Adam Task's father's story and Adam Task's story in general, we meet Cyrus, who is Adam Task's dad, and he, like I said, this takes place in 1862, so there's a story of how he contracted, I think it was like gonorrhea or something, but he describes the black woman in just a very like dismissive and derogatory way, and I don't like that. So yeah, however, I'm invested in the story because it's just his writing is very poetic and enticing. And what I mean by that is like I want to keep reading to find out like what is happening, what's going on, like that's that on that. And I'm gonna go home now. I'm probably gonna head out and go home because it is almost 6 o'clock and I have an hour drive home. So yeah, thank you for like hanging out with me while I on my solo date, and I will see you guys in the next one.